Welcome back to Otaku no Video. As always, thank you very much for joining me, where today I'm going to tell you a story. So, a couple of months ago, I was browsing the various fan sub sites, and I stumbled across this thing called the 2010 Young Animators Training Project. Seemed interesting, downloaded it, and eventually got around to watching the first episode. Turned out it was a 4-episode thing. Each thing is a half an hour long. Watch this first episode, and it is this beautifully animated, very high budget animated martial arts comedy about this family living out in the, no spoilers, but family living out in the wilderness and martial arts and ridiculous. But the short spends a lot of time helping you to love the characters. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z in overall concept in terms of like sort of fighting tournament, but it's almost Ghibli-like in this just sense of wonder and joy and actually having themes that it talks about. I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to see the next episode. Next episode looked like Raven with the Fireflies. So I was like, what the heck is this? So I turned it off and did a bit of Googling. Turns out each of the four major anime studios decided that they need to find the next great animation talent. They need to find the next Satoshi Kon or Mamoru Hosoda, things like that. So they all got together and decided that they would each pick a promising young animator, give that animator budget and a staff at their studio, and told basically make something awesome. It's about half an hour long. And all four of these were packaged up into this thing called the 2010 Young Animators Training Project. Awesome. So with some trepidation, I started watching the second one. Now, none of these films, no spoilers here, but none of these films are horrifically sad. None of them will make you, you won't end any of them, crying your eyes out. This one is serious. It's called The Old Man's Lamp, and there's some melancholy to it. There's even some tragedy in a sense. But at the end of every one of these episodes, I felt like a better person. Films. And maybe even just a little bit. So here's this sort of Grave of the Fireflies-like thing, and it's about a boy growing up in a very rural environment in the past in Japan and how Japan changes. And it's just sensitive and, again, beautifully animated, but very carefully animated. There's no action scenes in this one. It's this serious story about this character and what happens to him and how he reacts to life over time. Incredibly impressive. Watch the next one. And it's about a young woman living on her own who gets a chest of drawers. And how that kind of upends her life. I'm not joking. And what's remarkable is it's josei. It's aimed at women. But it's something that anyone can watch. It's like Lemonade. It's sweet, it's fun, but anyone can consume it. It's perfectly appropriate for anyone. And it has some things to say about growing up and living alone and being a mature, grown-up person. Wonderful. And connection, and how that connects into your past and things like that, while being this fun comedy. Watch the fourth one, and the fourth one is about a little girl, about 7 years old, and her friend, and the various things that this little girl is afraid of doing, and her jealousies, and her frustrations. And she's adorable, and she's not a jerk. She's easy to watch. I'm not painting. It sounds like she's an annoying character. She's not, but she has issues. There's clearly some, for lack of a better word, trauma in her past. And the story is seeing about some of those elements. And then it turns into a completely over-the-top Jim Carrey-esque comedy with some of the side characters. While at the same time having this very serious element of being about a little girl and her life and her relationship with her best friend and those things. It's a rather serious story. Also remarkable for, and trying not to get any spoilers, The first time I've ever seen a Chekhov's gun explicitly not fired. Research that, kids. Anyway, so each one has an amazing animation budget. Just movie quality animation budget. Studio Ghibli movie quality animation budget. Gorgeous and used well. And you can tell that whoever was the animator directing this was very heavily involved in the animation, because the animation is always consistent, carefully done, things like that. And each story is well constructed. Clearly there's a lot of back and forth making sure the stories actually worked. Yeah, I was really stunningly impressed with this. Like I said, it's fan subbed. It's out there on the various torrent sites if you want to find it. If it ever comes out, I would love to buy it. It's fantastic. And I recognize I'm using value words, which I try not to use. But wow, this kind of comes out of left field and just really impressed me. Now, the one disadvantage is because they're all half an hour long. There's not as much time to be complex or intricate. When I say they're amazing, I mean, for being half an hour long, they pack a lot into that. But this is, none of these are as impressive as a Studio Ghibli film, for example, because the films can have more stuff. So fair enough. But wow, this is nice stuff. So I hope you can stumble across this and find this at some point. Again, I was very impressed. I'm sure there are flaws and there are issues with it, but coming from nowhere and stumbling across these things, whoa, stunned. And every single one of these directors, I would want to watch what they make next. Maybe they won't, but impressive stuff. So that's it for me. I hope you are able to check it out. It's certainly not available streaming, so don't even try Streamsuki. Although maybe someday, who knows. Meanwhile, if you want to talk about cool stuff like these, please stop by my website at otakunovideo.net, where we talk about interesting stuff like this, and hope to see you there. So until next time, take care. With a goldfish?